this, but talking about every
Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Find someone baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill. Sleep, never say you're sorry. Oh, maybe I'll leave, baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing time here at the Rose Cup. I am Captain Jack, the director of the media team. We had some issues this evening trying to get into our Twitch account, so that's why y'all are joining me here on my channel. Hopefully, that is not too much of a problem. So I am actually joined this evening by a couple of different people. Lex C, which is one of our new casters who will be training with us this evening, as well as Platinum Thistle, who's going to be my color caster, my experienced color caster for the evening. Say hi, both of you. All right, folks. So we're going to get kind of into the basics. I apologize again. As I was trying to set this up, I was really trying to get it to capture one screen, and it did not want to do that. So I had to put it on a display capture, unfortunately. So let's go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and pick a match from the screen there? I imagine that you two are also watching the stream. I don't have it on that much of a delay, so let me know kind of what your what kind of match you would want to see from the finals there, Platinum, for us to start off with. Okay. How about Pachimari versus Enigma? Or actually, no, that was a postcast. Let's look for a live match. Lost Coyotes and Nebula Phoenix. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's really try to cast that one. I'm sure that will work out absolutely fantastic. Oh, goodness. Oh, is that why you want to do it? Oh, that makes sense. All right. So basically, this evening is going to be talking about, while this goes ahead and loads up, we're going to be talking about what it takes to be a caster. Now, I myself have been a caster for about over a year now, actually. I started from nothing. I have no professional experience whatsoever doing this, but somehow I just was able to start doing it. I have yet to figure out really how this has come to be that I've been able to get as far as I have, or the fact that people even like me casting, which is kind of a surprise. I know it may be sad, but to me it was actually surprising that people enjoyed my casting. So for me, there were a couple of things that I had to learn when I got into casting. And first off is that you never want to start with play-by-play casting, because play-by-play casting takes a lot of different aspects that you really need to look at. So tonight we're going to start with color casting, which myself and Platinum Thistle both do, as you can look through Season 2 and see through various videos how that goes down. So Platinum, I'm just gonna, I know I didn't really prep you for any of this, so just kind of give whatever comes off the top of your head. What do you believe makes a good color caster? Mm-hmm.
Dallas Fuel stream and I started explaining what was going on, and I realized this is pretty much what a color caster does. So when I kept going, I had a lot of fun. And when you're having fun describing what's going on in a match and how everything works, then that might be your calling to be a color caster right there.
All right, so I'm going to sum that up because this is the reason that Captain Jack isn't a producer, because I just realized that the volume was turned down on the output. So so you missed like half of what Platinum said. So basically, one of the biggest things that you need to know is the game. Like the game itself, how it works, different metas is key to knowing about how to be a good color caster, because when the play-by-play calls on you, you essentially have about how long, Platinum? If you're lucky,
anywhere from half a second to 10 seconds.
You usually have more than half a second, but it's usually like 5 to 10, maybe 15 seconds, depending on what level you're playing at. If you're between like gold and diamond level play, many times the fights continue on. There's not kind of like a break in the action unless there's a complete team kill that ends up happening. And then you have the 10-second reset, and then the color caster's really able to get back in there before the next push happens. But unless you have that full team kill or the team is smart enough to regroup to give you that time to talk about it, the color caster doesn't have a lot of time to get in and say a lot about what is going on. So you have to be very specific. You have to be very precise about what you're seeing. And as Platinum had said, you have to kind of know the ins and outs of the game. You have to be able to kind of take in everything that you're seeing. Now, what you're going to be seeing us do tonight is what's called mock casting. What we do is we cast over VODs that have been done previously, but are not... It isn't live, so we can't go in as if we were in spectator mode and be able to see it from our own perspective. We wouldn't be able to see it as you all may not be able to, so we can't point out like that flanker that's going into the back line unless the camera is on it. That's not something that we're going to be able to do, but the things that you're going to see this evening are going to give you a lot of ideas of how a play-by-play and color caster work. So what it looks like we're starting off on Busan Sanctuary. So what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna say a single word for the entirety of this part of the match. I'm gonna let Platinum specifically, don't try to play-by-play, just color cast the entire match. So it's gonna be.
You want me to get breaks? Where there
nope,
would be
I would
nope.
I would just go. It's going to be very slow. It's going to be methodical. It's not going to be focused necessarily on the action. So I would say if a lot of action is going on, maybe kind of pull yourself back just a little bit, as if the play-by-play we're catching on. But we're going to do an example later on which really focuses on kind of how the play-by-play and color caster go together during a match. But for now, I really want to give you as much time. So if there's a big fight going on, I would just wait until it's done and then we'll kind of analyze it. But for the most part, really focus on like the color casting of this. So I'm going to go ahead and well, actually, the first thing.
Are you gonna screen share?
Yes, that is actually the thing that I forgot to do before this stream.
Okay.
Sorry, we had a lot of issues go down before this evening started. The biggest one being that we couldn't log into the Twitch. So let me go ahead and set that up real quick, which you all need to do because I should have this somewhere. Copy. And I'm going to post it in the regular media team chat for this channel.
Right.
So I think I have to click it as well to screen share. So let's go ahead and wait for that to load up. So if y'all have any questions in the chat, also feel free to ask. We're here to answer any questions that you might have this evening. It looks like Dream Duck is joining us. Y'all nuts. Y'all nuts this evening. We are a little nuts this evening. I apologize. Normally we're a lot more polished than this, but between children and having issues with the Twitch, sometimes it doesn't work out. And that's another thing that goes into being a caster. Even though that's not really something that we would probably hint about this evening is going with the flow. Like I myself have always lived by the phrase "semper Gumby," always flexible. So if you don't know, Gumby is like a cartoon from like the 80s. So, but he was like a really rubbery guy. So for me, you never know what's going to happen in a match, especially if you're not playing on like contenders or above level. Where you don't have like that localized LAN. Like if somebody drops out, it's more than likely not going to happen in that place. It's going to happen in a place like the Rose Cup, where everyone's playing from home. Internet's really spotty sometimes. Stuff happens, and as casters, you have to be able to fill that void until the producer and the host of the game figure out what they need to do to either get that person back into the match, if they need to get a sub in, things like that. All those different things will happen while the match is going on. And for some reason, my screen share isn't working. I don't know why it's not working. I don't know.
Maybe try putting it in maybe try moving us to a call.
Yes, I will go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get you all in a group chat then. So see, it's all about going with the flow. So are there any other tips or tricks that you'd give as a color caster there, Platinum?
Well, I would honestly say one of the biggest things is, like you said, being able to go with the flow, but also realizing that there are going to be days where you don't cast for like a week or two, and then there are going to be days where you cast like every single day. Depending on who you are in the group. Like I know Jack casts 2 to 3 times a week, and I cast generally the same amount. But with a lot of people, especially when you're first starting out. When I first started out, I casted like once a week, maybe once a month even.
All right, so we've transitioned to the call. We just got to wait for everybody to get in here. There we go. All right, so now let's see. We should be able to get the screen share to work now. There you go. Now you can see my screen. Beautiful.
I can.
All right, so go ahead. Continue what you were saying as I get everything set back up.
Just pretty much that there are going to be times when you don't get to cast for a while. There are going to be times where you have to cast a lot. So having a flexible schedule and being responsive is always going to be something that's good. And if you are not casting that much and you want to be casting more, what you want to do is keep your notifications on for the casting channel that you're put in, and they will ping out at probably about once a week, if not more than that they need a caster, and you can go, yeah, I can cast. The more you cast, the more people will see you, the more they'll start to like what they see, and the more you get scheduled, which is exactly how I went from doing it once a month to doing it several times a week.
Yeah, and that's really what from a director standpoint, that's what we want. Like if we see that you're volunteering a lot and you're he's not my favorite Dream Duck, but he is one of our experienced casters that I depend on, because when you dependability is huge when it comes to both producing and casting, which hopefully we will be doing a producer training here in the near future as well, so be sure to stay tuned to that. But nevertheless, we want people that are dependable, because first off, we understand life happens, all right? We're not going to penalize you if at the last minute you say a family member died and you have to go to a funeral or a wake. We're not gonna be like, but this is Overwatch casting. How could you ever not do that over going to a funeral? I would lose my mind if anyone was ever like that. If anyone was ever that serious about a video game, which there are people. I won't say that. That's why we have to give this example, because there are people that are like that. Thankfully, most of the orgs that we've worked with are not like that. But dependability is key, because if we know that we can come to you when someone has to drop out, then that as Platinum had said, it makes you more well known. It makes you, I wouldn't say more well liked, but just
It helps.
no, it does help. We know that we can call on you if need be, which is really great.
It is also a very gradual thing. Like I said, when I started, I was doing it once a month. And actually, Cap, the other day I met my first fan.
You met your first fan. How
Yeah,
about that? You have a
not
fan?
not in real life over Twitch. It was someone who was in the chat when we were doing the finals cast, and he messaged in the chat that he misses me casting his games, and that he was looking forward to me coming back. And he opened up a DM, and we started talking. And he's a guy from the Kings Row Saints named Whale, and
Oh,
really lovely guy. So
well, that's
I'm hoping to be able
absolutely
to cast with them
incredible.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I've kind of that's actually what got my whole like Twitch channel and like Facebook page. I know y'all probably use like Instagram or Twitter. I'm too old for that, so I have a Facebook page for like my
Just
gaming
about.
stuff. I it's just the way that I work. But that's what got all that started for me was because people were like where can we follow you? Where
Yeah.
can we go at to know where you're at? And this started in the previous organization that I was
Mhm.
with too, and that's something that you have to think about as a caster is that, and something that we have to think about as organizations is that we want to make sure that not only do you come to us for us, like obviously we want you to come to the Rose Cup for Rose Cup action, but we want you to also be able to come for our players, our casters, our producers, like all the people that make all of this happen. So I think we've distracted long enough for me to get everything set up.
Perfect.
I
Cool.
would
So
say that
bring that up.
it's good to go. I'm looking at the stream. It's good to go. So I'm gonna
Cool.
go ahead and start this off. So again, we're on Busan uh, Sanctuary, and this is a matchup between the Lost Coyotes and Nebula Phoenix. And we're not for certain why there was a. There we go. It was just having an issue getting the video started, I guess. So all right. So what are we seeing here starting out there, Platinum?
Well, to be honest, it's extremely pixelated. So I'm pretty sure I see a couple characters, at least one, up on the screen. I'm pretty sure that on the Lost Coyote side, I see Krev on McCree. We've got a pretty decent composition going on. Looks to be more of a dive composition, which in the latest climate has not been as dominant, but it's also very refreshing to see it being one of the oldest, most dominant compositions. But over on the side of Nebula Phoenix, we have a slightly different composition with the quad DPS. Oh, sorry, not quad, with the triple DPS and the Hammond. So it's definitely going to be a very aggressive matchup. It's not going to be a play back kind of thing, especially when we've got a pharmacy on both sides. Now, as you can see, we've got Farah for Lost Coyotes diving very deep. Dash is getting in there, trying to do a bit of poke damage to get that barrage up early. The pick comes up from Spike earlier than they would like, but Dash with the refrag will get them done. Now, another thing to be focusing on is Spike's insistence on the backline with that Hammond. That's not really something that you'll see a lot of the time when you're running with just a Hammond as your only tank. A lot of the time you'll see it on the front, just trying to create a little bit more space. But with his backline antics, he is able in that way to create space by forcing every other member of the team to peel, do the job of the tank, and make them not be DPS anymore, which kind of ruins the composition that they have going with that 2-2-2. It makes it more of a backwards comp. It takes them off their front foot. Nestington is going to be building up a little bit here with that EMP, and that's something that you're definitely going to be wanting to watch out for because as of right now in this patch, it's one of the biggest fight-winning ultimates there is. It's very difficult to win a fight when even half your team has been EMP'd. So Lost Coyotes do have the point. They're taking up to about 30%. But like I said, Nestington's going to be looking to land that EMP, probably in conjunction with a barrage if they can manage it. If there's enough resistance, then they won't be using it. The early picks from Kobe is going to make it so that they're not going to have to use it this fight. But don't get it wrong. Don't get them wrong. They're going to be looking to use it as soon as possible. simply because not only is it a fight winner, it builds up fast if you're playing your Sombra correctly. And if I'm remembering correctly, I believe Nebula Phoenix, Lost Coyotes are around our plat range. Jack, you can tell me if I'm wrong there.
Yes,
But
we're in platinum right now.
we're in plat right now. So decent ultimate lineup from Nebula Phoenix and for Lost Coyotes. We do have that nano boost being invested onto anime thighs. So that not only will help with clearing space with a lot of their squishier targets, but what a lot of Annas will do, especially at this rank and above, they will throw their nano boost onto the Winston who does not yet have primal, so that he can build up primal much faster because of the bit of a CC change recently. Primal has been so much better, but it's not going to work too well if your Mercy doesn't have a head anymore. Well, we have a Widowmaker from Nebula Phoenix just finding so many picks, 2 opening picks from both of the support line is going to make everything way better. We have the Nano Boost go down, but I can't really see who it's on. Barrage goes in, it was probably on the Pharah. As you can see, the assist marker from Ana getting a 4K and just cleaning up the fight for a quick return. 44% climbing to the 65% of Lost Coyotes. Now, we were talking a lot about the ultimates for Nebula Phoenix, but Lost Coyotes has those ultimates plus a little bit of alt charge on the ultimates they don't have, if you catch my drift here. Puff, that very close to that nano boost, is going to be able to get it pretty quickly along with Krev, both very fast charging ultimates if you're landing your shots. So as the dive comes in from Lost Coyotes, they're going to have a lot to work with. The MP goes in, catches 5. That's exactly what they wanted to see here. No follow-up yet. Nice anti-nade lands from Sweaty Brawls here. From Puff, rather. So it's going to be very difficult to counter an EMP when you're also anti-naded, because being healed and receiving massive amounts of healing is one of the only things that can keep you from losing in an EMP-based fight. The sights are going to go in along with the bomb to try and scout out a little bit of an area. We have PSN who's thrown in the bomb, doesn't find anything, but allows the point to be cleared. Another headshot coming in from Kobe, just barely able to shut down that rocket barrage before it does too much damage. The anime thighs with the primal rage, like I said, going to be clearing out the point a little bit and allowing them to get some more percentage up on the board. But it's not going to quite be enough. There's still going to be another fight here. 85% is generally the one fight territory you're looking at. So if Lost Coyotes win this fight, then they have pretty much won the game. And statistically, a lot of the time, if a team makes it to 85%, they'll win that point. So things are looking very desperate here for Nebula Phoenix, even though they've already reached their time limit, or even though they've already reached their pretty much their 99% mark. So as overtime ticks down, we do have a double rocket barrage coming in from Weaver Blade, finding a third on that Winston. So that's probably going to be exactly the cleanup that they want. And after the res goes down onto Nessington, who's almost got that EMP, this is going to be a very difficult fight to close out for Lost Coyotes, and it looks like a 1 round from Nebula Phoenix here.
All right. Thank you so much, Platinum. That was absolutely fantastic color casting. Now, note, Platinum had all that time. And normally, Platinum would have maybe like 2 minutes of all that time that went down. So if you look at the clock, there was probably like 6 minutes of that match or so, maybe 5 minutes. So I wouldn't even say maybe you'd have 2 minutes. You maybe have like a minute to a minute and a half of all that time to summarize everything that he ended up putting together for you so slowly into that aspect. And one of the good things about yes, breathing is good, which as a play-by-play you probably never do. So if you enjoy breathing, you might want to be a color caster. Just saying. Yeah. So now that we've kind of seen what play-by-play or what color casting is rather, we're gonna do some play-by-play casting, and we're going to talk about its importance. It looks like we're gonna be headed to the mecha base for this next match. So when it comes to play-by-play casting, for me, anyways, and you can look at VODs from like Uber and Mr. X and various other like Overwatch League persons that play by play a lot different than I do. Um, this is just my personal way of doing it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying this is how I do it, and this is how I got started. And you'll find kind of the rhythm that grooves with you as you start. So that's kind of where we're going with on this one. So as a play-by-play caster, your job is to say everything that's going on in the action. Your job is to make sure that anything that could possibly not be seen by the audience is being seen through your voice. So, although I really try hard not to go specifically by the kill feed, because it can be kind of addicting almost to really depend on the kill feed. You want to try to spend as much time pointing out the action that isn't seen as much. If the kills are going down, then the kills are going down. Like, you can't prevent that at that aspect. You know, obviously pointing out things like ultimate kills or like anything over a triple, something that's really huge is a big one. And as a color caster, you'll sometimes hear them jump in when they get comfortable with like the ohs and ahs and, you know, all the amazing sounds that are made when you hear the big plays that go on. So, you know, play-by-playing is essentially taking what you know as a color caster and then just amping it up by like a bajillion. That's really what you're doing, because you have to know the game very intimately to be able to call things out so quickly. Play-by-play casting is not for everyone. I hate to say it, but it's just not. You have to have a set of pipes that really agrees with being able to do things very quickly. I myself was still am a singer, not anything professional or anything, but I started singing back in 5th grade, which for those of you that can do math, I'm 31 years old now, that was quite a while ago. So I have quite a decent set of pipes to go along with play-by-play casting. I'm able to talk really fast. I'm able to talk in a way that I can hold my breath for at least a minute and or more while projecting. And you know, it's something that I've been trained to do, being a singer. You know, people that are in bands or have played in orchestra with wind instruments, like those kind of people are probably going to be really good at play-by-play casting because they know how to control their airflow. A little suggestion for those of you that may be looking to get into play-by-play casting is that one of the biggest things that you need to change is the way you breathe. So the very first thing that I do when I set up to play-by-play cast is I'm going to either stand or I'm going to sit with my back as straight as I can in my chair. And instead of breathing from my chest, I'm going to breathe from what's called my diaphragm. So you're going to make your stomach really fat. So I'm going to breathe, and I'm just going to fill up my stomach as much as I can. You're going to become like a little Santa Claus with your little pot belly going on there. But really, when you breathe, your lungs fill up that capacity so much more than trying to fill up your chest. When you try to breathe from your chest, like, your rib cage kind of suppresses that down. There's not really a lot that you can do about that. So when trying to play-by-play, you really want to kind of focus on your breathing. That's a really big thing that goes into play-by-play casting. So Platinum, tell me a couple of different things that you have learned about play-by-play casting in your experience.
Now, like I said, play-by-play casting is where I started, so that was the least professional area of my life when it came to this kind of thing. And I never got into singing. In fact, I hated singing. I despised it because I was very self-conscious about it. But talking, if you ask any of my teachers, was never something I was afraid of doing. So if you like to talk a lot, or if you're one of the people that talks really fast naturally when you get excited, it also might be for you. You don't have to sing. But like Jack said, that's something that will very, very much help you if you have good breathing control, or if even you were taught breathing control by, um, if you were taught breathing control by like a therapist or a life coach or something,
Mm-hmm.
anything that you've been taught that can help you with your breathing control will help you distinguish yourself from anyone who is trying to cast without it, because it will make you seem 10 times better even if you've got no clue what you're saying. If
Yep.
someone is gasping for breath mid-sentence, then it's never going to sound good.
Nope. No, it is not. So another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to play-by-play casting is you have so much information in front of you as a play-by-play caster. There is so much going on, and there are sometimes that there are brief lulls in the action that you don't have enough time to throw it to your color caster to get something in. There's just not enough time. So for me, many things that I will use is the percentage markers if we're doing a control map like this. So I'll be like, Lost Coyotes currently at so-and-so percentage, or Nebula Phoenix currently at so-and-so percentage. Like, oh, they're meeting up percentages. Like, information that people may not be paying attention to if they're paying attention to the action. If you're doing like an assault map, or actually, any of the other maps which are based on time, throwing out the time is good as well when you have a little lull in the small lull in the action. So saying like, oh, there's currently a minute 30 on the clock. Let's see what happens on this next push, and then they go in, and then you kind of start in your rally once again. So all that kind of information that's available to you. I myself also like to have Twitch up, which is not obviously something that like Al or contenders do, because that would be a lot to try to sort through for like good things to say. But being in such a small organization, I can look in and say, oh, well, Ducky in the chat saying, Andrew said I could never make it as a caster, so I want to prove him wrong. Well, you know what? Good on you, Ducky. I wouldn't say that you should necessarily do it just to prove Andrew wrong, but if you really want to be a caster, that's totally something you should do. Interacting with the audience is something that really helps your stream, I believe, especially when you're in a community atmosphere similar to the Rose Cup. I think that that's absolutely beneficial. Not every caster does it. I'm not saying that you have to do it as a caster. I'm just saying, as in my personal experience, I feel that it gives a little bit back to get the community involved. So
I think that you should do it all the time.
Well, I guess it depends on the situation they're in.
In our small community, it's always nice to look at the chat, because it's always so interesting, regardless of whether or not you actually mention it. Especially as a color caster, when you've got like all those lulls in whatever you're saying, looking back at the chat just to bring things up, or even if you missed something and someone in the chat noticed, even if you don't mention it, looking at the chat for me as a color caster is a must all the time.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this match to do a play-by-play casting. It'll just be straight play-by-play, so I probably won't breathe at all during this entire match. I gotta be completely honest with you. But many of the times when the action's going down, you're gonna notice kind of the things. Again, as we are doing this in a mock style, I'm not going to be able to see the same perspectives that I would see if I were spectating a live match. So what I see is going to be very restricted to kind of what y'all see. So
Jack,
yes.
While you're doing this, I gotta step away for just a second.
No worries, fam. I literally did the same thing while you were doing it, so no worries. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So right now we're currently sitting at Busan Mecha Base. So looking at the side of Nebula Phoenix, it looks like they're coming out with a GOATS composition with Spike Mecha, Nyakobi, and Nessington on the Ryan Zarya Diva, with Sweaty Brawls, Yarzik, and Wiverblade coming in with that Zen, Lucio, and Brigitte. It looks like we're seeing a similar GOAT-ish composition. You could actually consider this more so a triple healer or a goats with a Junkrat, which is something that we noticed during this match was incredibly powerful. The attack has already begun as they move their way onto the high ground. We're seeing Spike Mecha going at it with Anime Thighs right now. Hammers swinging back and forth. We're just seeing damage going back and forth between these two teams at this point, getting ready to unlock in 5 seconds. Nessington or a DMAC thanks to Dash on that Junkrat as they move their way down on to the objective. Yarzik's going to end up getting taken down by Dash as Puff and Anime Thighs currently cleaning up Nebula Phoenix as they try to push into the objective. PSN gets that punch kill onto Nyakobi as Newt follows up on Sweaty Brawls, and that's going to be objective capture for the side of the Lost Coyotes, 6% and climbing. Now, normally during this lull, I would give this over to the color caster so that they could go ahead and give some action, give a little bit of information, but we're going to go right back into it as we see the stun going in onto Spike Mecha. Dash ends up getting the concussion mine kill onto Wiverblade, which is going to be a huge pick, making it over a 5v6 as they move in. The shatter coming down from Anime Thighs. Unfortunately, without hearing things, it makes it a little hard to tell when ultimates are going down. Here comes out the tire from Dash. Doesn't seem to manage to grab much of anything right there as we go ahead and see them reset up for another push on the side of Nebula Phoenix. 40% and climbing right now for the Lost Coyotes. It looks like based on the shift, they're noticing that trap going off, so they're trying to figure out which way Nebula Phoenix is going to start pushing in, and here it comes. Nebula Phoenix moving in from the low ground, trying to see if they can get some damage in. The Transcendence coming out from Sweaty Brawls, moving in, trying to keep the team up and aggressive right now, and the rally going to get popped by Karev as Dash ends up getting the trap kill onto Wiverblade. Firestrike coming in from Anime Thighs ends up taking down Sweaty Brawls as well, and the rest of Nebula Phoenix just going to continue to fall right now, despite what we ended up seeing on the first map between Lost Coyotes and Nebula Phoenix. Nebula Phoenix just not having an easy time really trying to set up on this objective. This would be one of those times where I'd say, looking in the chat right now, this is what we see. Graviton coming out right now along with the Shatter. Tire coming out looking to do damage. Triple kill coming out from Dash right there and moving in with the rest of the team. Krev ends up taking down Yarzik as Dash follows up on Spike Mecha. Team kill ringing loud and proud as overtime ticks away. The only one left on the objective is Nessington, but will get taken out by PSN. The objective is secured 100 to 0% for the side of Lost Coyotes, and man, thank goodness that was actually a short match, because that would have been a little bit more than I wouldn't say it would be a little more than I could handle, but it definitely would have been tough saying that. So if you have any questions in the chat, please feel free to let us know. I do have the chat open on my other screen, so we definitely are here to answer any type of questions that you all might have. So now going into this next match, is there anything that you can think of that we haven't already talked about there, Platinum, before we go into this next match and kind of show people how the color and play-by-play work together as a team?
Well, I would just say a quick overview of the two roles. The main thing being that in color casting, your main job really is to provide some sense of humor and excitement even while the game is going on, and also they need to have an intense knowledge of the background of the game and of both teams. They need to know statistics. But the play-by-play caster is the kind of person that you have a quick wit, quick mind. So they're the more think on your feet, and the color caster is the more know the background kind of team. But a lot of people will rely too heavily on the color caster for forms of entertainment, where what you really want to be seeing is you want to see a nice relationship between the two in order to have the most entertainment value. And that's probably what you'll be seeing coming up next. You just want to know who you're with. You want to get to know who they are before you cast with them. The better you know them, the more even inside jokes you have with them or the audience, the better it's going to be. Like the one running thing that Jack and I have with the audience whenever we're casting is talking about how powerful the baby diva is.
Oh man, I can't. How long ago was that match? Like a couple months ago now, and
Yeah,
we're
it was a
still
couple
doing that. And it was. This is where you get the community involved as well, because so the background for this little joke is that in the chat, someone said, like, we had made a comment about how Baby Diva isn't really that powerful, and ended up getting a really important kill in the match that was going on, and the chat was just blowing up with like, how could you say that Baby Diva isn't powerful? Look at that right there. And so like ever since, we've just been like, oh, and Baby Diva, here comes pro mode now, this is where it all goes down. Like it's just
you know why they lost the fight? It's because
it's because the Baby Diva wasn't out of mech. Jeez, like come on, the mech is useless. We just need to be Baby Diva all the time at this aspect. Shoot.
It would have ended so much faster if the Baby Diva was just able to whip out that bunny blaster.
I know, right? You just need that bunny blaster going on. So
that's the kind of relationship I mean, right there.
Exactly. And as you develop as a caster, you will also develop kind of your casting personality. So for me, one, because I'm a dad, and two, because I'm super lame. I tell dad jokes like all the time. I will make dad jokes on the fly as things are going down. So
that's another running gag.
Yes, that is something that I have carried on as being a caster the whole time. So like in particular, so I would take something like Dash's name, and now Dash better switch to a quicker character, or they're not going to be able to get to the point fast enough.
Right, yeah.
Like this is so silly, but it's just kind of that little bit of me that I give into the casting, and as you become a caster, you kind of develop that sense. So I also want to ask our third in here who has joined us for training, do you have any questions before we kind of go on to like this overall view of what this relationship is supposed to look like?
Please have questions.
Okay, yeah, sure, I have questions.
All right, go ahead.
Prepared and cool individual that's not stalling for time.
Well, yeah, I know.
Okay. But yeah, so in terms of this relationship and how you build it up, sort of how long would you say, you'd want to at least get to know your fellow caster? How, what sort of, could you do it off just like one meeting, or would you have to build up more of a rapport?
So that's a really interesting question, and I've kind of seen it in a lot of different aspects. I would say that it's very much like any relationship you might have with someone. Like sometimes you really hit it off, and sometimes you got to kind of work at it. So I know with Platinum, we didn't necessarily hit it off in the beginning. Like we kind of had to learn how we ebb and flow together. But with the more practice that we got with one another, we were able to kind of pin that down. I had a person that I was with in my previous organization. His name's Crunchbite. He and I on the same foot at the very beginning, like very first match, like knew the ebb and flow of each other very quickly, was able to really get into each other's rhythm, and when we casted together, it was gold. Like that's just the way that it was. For the Rose Cup, we cast mostly based on availability. So if someone says that they're available tonight and like your normal color caster or your normal play-by-play isn't available that evening, you're probably not going to get paired up with them. If you're looking to move up kind of into the higher ranks of competitive Overwatch or anything esports related where there's casting, there's like Hearthstone and Smite and like Heroes of the Storm. Like there's so many different esports right now that you could get into. Normally you want to find yourself kind of like that Jekyll to your Hyde. You want to find that pairing of personalities that really works well together and move up together so that you can eventually come out like that. Like I was saying earlier, Uber and Mr. X. Like I can't say I've seen one without the other ever. So it's very interesting to see the two together, and they just mesh so well. I would hope so, since they cast for Owl. But it's definitely something that can take time, even if you end up hitting it off very quick on. You want to make sure that you're asking questions about one another. Usually when I'm starting off with new people, I'll call out their names specifically, because as a color caster, another thing that you have to kind of note on is when that ebb and flow is for the play-by-play. So like Platinum had to learn after a while kind of when I am getting ready to stop talking, like when my voice kind of goes down, and when it's so hard to describe. I really wish I knew how best to describe like when that happens, but it's kind of just something you have to learn, I guess.
Shifts down
Does my octave shift?
Amount.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that might be it.
You're talking like this, and then when you're getting ready to stop, you'll go like this.
Oh, I'll drop down. Okay, that makes sense then. So see, me as the play-by-play, I wouldn't know that because I just kind of talk and then I just stop talking eventually. So
it's definitely very much the anchor man. I'm 100% finishing a sentence right now. The like, and now back to sports with Camden. Like that kind of thing.
I gotcha. Okay, so and I would imagine that other play-by-plays have different ways that they do it, but usually when I start off with a new color caster or someone that I've never worked with before, I'll call them out by name. I'll just be like, Platinum, what do you got? Like just something real quick so they know I'm done. Say something. Like it very straightforward. So
and sometimes it will take you a little while to build up a relationship with another caster. Like Jack said, it took us a little bit to get to know each other better. But those relationships can be really, really good. They can end up being, if you get to know each other or if you just hit it off immediately, the biggest part of it is how well you end up knowing each other's casting style. If you're able to talk to each other in a way that just seems natural on the stream, then everyone else is just going to feel like they're just part of the group. They're going to feel, so if you feel casual with the person, then everyone else will feel casual and comfortable.
Yep, and that's exactly what you want to try to do. Any other questions?
No, that was great. None for now, let's say.
All right. Well,
Cool.
I want to check real quick to see if anyone in the chat has any questions, and that is a no. So everything all quiet in the chat right now. So let's go ahead and
damn informative
and get this started. So we're moving on to Busan Downtown now. So based on how we do this, I kind of switch on and off who ends up doing the introduction. So Platinum, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. What do you see coming out right now?
Well, I see a lot of pixels that are currently loading in, but on the flip side of that, I also generally see a pretty good game. Like we saw a pretty decent matchup between the last two. It's currently 1-1, so ending on a third point is always going to bode very well for a close matchup. The last game ended very quickly. That was more of a dive-friendly map than...
Well, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you there because the action has already started. Nyakobi getting the first pick onto Newt, getting that going for Nebula Phoenix right now as Wiverblade taking to the sky, looking to gain that high ground advantage. And Nessington already gets a kill on to Dash right there as well. They've pushed everyone off the objective, so now we're going to see Nebula Phoenix go ahead and start things off with their percentage climb.
Now we have a very low drop here, almost dying the main tank for Lost Coyotes. That's something you always want to be looking out for, is your main tank when heading into fights like this. And the dive is going to come in counter from Spike moving into this choke here.
I think the biggest thing that we're seeing right now is Nyakobi really trying to get onto that high ground and pick off from a distance. Right now, their only counter is between Dash and Krev, whichever one can really get it off right now. And it looks like they're going over to the side. Wiverblade coming out with the barrage, ends up taking down a Puff, but Dash able to reflect a majority of it as Anime Thighs follows up onto Wiverblade. Spike Mech again, Krev in the back line as the res comes in for Wiverblade as well. Ends up being successful. Dash dashing into the back line right there, looking to get some picks, but ends up getting taken down by Nessington. That deflect just could not deflect enough right there.
slash dashed and smashed right down to the ground. He was not
Ah.
entirely able to do much in there. But, he's building up his ult percentage, and Dragon Blade's going to be really huge moving into here. But ultimates from Nebula Phoenix really showing themselves on the lineup here. So even though they've used some, a lot still to go.
67% and climbing right now for the side of Nebula Phoenix as they are currently holding on to that high ground. PSN currently on the other side of what would be an air condition. Oh! Naya Kobe picking off Dash, who was swapped over to the Widow. It was such a small margin of error, and Dash was just not able to pull that off fast enough. Nessington moving back towards the objective, anticipating the shift coming out from the Lost Coyotes. Sights coming out from Naya Kobe right now. Seeing the Winston jumping onto the high ground with the Nano. Anime Thighs looking to do some damage. Krav coming out with the High Noon, looking to get somebody, looking to be successful, but will not end. Tried to end up getting Spike Mecha right there, but the bubble ended up preventing that as the double Diva Bomb comes in from PSN, looking to clean up right now. Anime Thighs following up onto Nessington right there. We might be seeing Lost Coyotes able to take the objective into their favor. 99% for Nebula Phoenix, and that is going to be a capture of the objective for the side of Lost Coyotes, 5% and climbing.
Now, both teams here have used a lot of ultimates. The only difference is Lost Coyotes used a lot of them earlier in the fight, so they've got more coming in and faster. So Nebula Phoenix is going to want to do this economy push coming up here. Probably want to save the Valkyrie for the fight where more ultimates will be used.
Ooh, that pick by Wiverblade right there onto Newt. Not going to be a good way to start the defense right there. PSN moving back to secure the objective as the Primal Rage ends up coming out for Anime Thighs, looking to try to push anyone and everyone off the objective as much as possible. Wiverblade ends up getting the pick in the backline from Puff as Anime Thighs continuing to do damage with that Primal, looking to see if they can get Naya Kobe down, but going to end up being unsuccessful as they end up getting picked off by Naya Kobe, being defended by Nessington. Bomb coming in. Doesn't end up getting much of anything, unfortunately, because the team has pretty much cleaned up the objective. Double kill coming in from Wiverblade with the barrage right there. Point control swapped right back over to Nebula Phoenix, and they're going to go ahead and take the victory away here on Busan.
That was very clean. Nebula Phoenix should be very proud of their performance. They're going in, lower ultimate charge, wins out the fight. First in econ, then they close it out with ultimates. Brilliantly done.
And play of the game, interesting enough, is going to go to the Lost Coyotes. Dash getting the triple kill with that tire, and then the additional cleanup coming afterwards onto Spike Mecha. Was able to really continue to secure the point. Unfortunately, they just were not able to do that on a second map to take away Busan. All right, so that is the best example of what we can give. If you were listening, there was kind of a balance between us two. We kind of knew, again, kind of when one was done talking. As the play-by-play, I hate to make it sound very narcissistic, but you're the one in control of how the action goes down. So if the action's going down, then your color caster's still talking, and you got to get in there. You just got to politely interrupt and say, "We'll get back to you in a minute."
Like, even need to be polite. Just if they're
no, you make it polite. We're all about training here. We want to make it polite.
Okay.
Nevertheless. Nevertheless, you want to make sure that you're getting into the action. Sometimes you can play a little bit of catch up, like with Platinum. Sometimes I'll know if he's getting ready to finish up, so I'll let him finish even though the action's going on. And then I'll kind of recap very quickly before I get into the action. Sometimes you'll have play-by-plays that also color cast, like myself, that will be able to just kind of roll into each role fluidly. Yeah. Like there were some times that I kind of, if the action hadn't started yet, I kind of play off of Platinum, giving a little color aspect myself. And if I'm in the color caster role and I see the action starting, I might start play-by-playing for a second until I can transition it over to the actual play-by-play caster, which again is all about the relationship that you have with the person that you're working with. So all of this really comes down to 1, preparation, and 2, communication. Those are the two biggest things. Like if I were to sum up the whole entirety of casting into two things. It's preparation and communication. As a play-by-play, well, actually, as either caster, you want to make sure that you're hydrated. You want to make sure that you have water on standby, because as myself right now, I am incredibly parched. So you definitely want to make sure that you have that on the side, so when you have time to take those quick minutes of rest, you're able to hydrate yourself quickly. As the color caster, as Platinum said earlier, you want to try to get as much information about the teams as possible. There are some organizations that really do close monitoring of statistics. Currently, the Rose League the Rose Cup is working on getting some kind of statistics measurement tool. And I said we're getting to it because I'm working on it right now. Yeah. It's just the current system that I have built is really built for very small leagues, like maybe under 20, because everything's set to be manually inputted. For our last season, which was 74 teams, that's not something that's manageable. Like, unless you have a dedicated statistician that is working on that. And I would even say you'd need multiple dedicated statisticians, like, definitely, for each division that are working on putting in that data, because that is just an incredible amount of data to try to compile all at once. So we're working on automating the process so that we don't have to worry about that so much.
Yeah.
And then communication. Like, usually if I'm casting with someone for the first time, even if I've cast with them several times, we'll talk about kind of anything that we want to do differently this evening, if there are any preferences to roles they want to do, who wants to do introductions, either at the beginning of the game or at halftime, if the producer isn't doing it themselves. Like, there's just so many different aspects to casting that don't always get talked about. That's something that you really do need to spend some time focusing on if you want to be a good caster. Platinum, do you have anything additional to add there?
Pretty much just feel it out. You're not going to be able to get it immediately. Everything's going to be nerve-wracking immediately. You're going to want to let other people do things, and that's totally fine. In fact, I would encourage it, just so you can learn from watching. But I promise you, everything will become more apparent and easier the further you go.
Actually, I was going to move on to another match, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep with Nightwolves Nebula Phoenix. So, Lex, normally I start everyone out on the color role, as you've kind of listened tonight, of how important that role is to being a play-by-play caster as well. So, if you're up for it, this is essentially your first live casting that you can start saying that, hey, I have some experience now. So, if you would like to cast with me, I would be more than happy to have you cast Eichenwald here for this Platinum's Finals match that we were doing just now.
And I'll cheer.
Woohoo! So you up for it?
Absolutely.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get this set up. I just got to get the timestamp right, because we do a lot of talking in the middle. And that's another thing that you have to be able to do as well. Like, casting's really big in the game, but you also have to be able to fill the time in between. Teams have to do swaps. Teams have to sometimes they have to swap sides as well, depending on which league you're working in. There may be technical issues going down. Again, just be flexible. Play as the play-by-play play with your color caster. This is the time that they have the most time to talk about what they saw in the match. So if they didn't get a chance to talk about it as a color caster, take advantage of that in-between time. It's definitely going to be not only beneficial to you, because you get some more additional exposure, but you also get to let people know kind of what you saw, spend time interacting with the audience, things like that. All right, Lex,
you're being flexible, Jack. Yep. Just real quick, when do you think would be an appropriate time for people to start flex casting? When is that
flex casting?
if someone
well, I don't know. We're being locked into a 2-2-2 meta right now, so I think you might just have to. I think you might just have to stick with one or the other. Honestly, I have solo casted before. It is.
Mhm.
It hurts. It hurts
hate it.
so bad.
hate it.
I
It's
hate
terrible.
solo casting. It is the worst. Which is why right now the Rose Cup is recruiting. So if you are joining us this evening, which I currently see 9 people watching the live stream, thank you so much for joining us. Please go to therosecup.org. If you click on the staff tab and scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see an application for the media team. You can sign up with no previous experience for casters right now. You can sign for casters and producers, I should say. You can sign up, and we will take the opportunity to invest in you, to train you, to be able to cast like us, or in a way like us, to at least get your feet wet. Because from my perspective,
The Jedi are evil. Sorry.
from my perspective, you have to be able to give people opportunities to find out if they're good at
Absolutely.
something. Like for me, I would have never gotten the opportunity I did if someone didn't say, "Hey, we're going to start casting matches for our organization. Who can talk?" I'd be like, "I can talk and I know about Overwatch." And that's literally how I started. Like I
You're
was
hired.
like no training, no nothing. Like I was inspired by watching Overwatch League, and I was just like, hey, maybe I could do that. And then the opportunity presented itself. So ever since then, like now being the director here, one of the directors here at the Rose Cup, I want to make sure that people have that opportunity to be trained as well. Now, note, you might not get as much live time as you want. Right now, the most live time that many of our trainees are going to get is during this off season. We're going to have some pugs going on, but as they get better and are able to work out the kinks with their casting, you're going to see them on the live stream. I will be working with them as well as the other casters to try to get their experience up so that they can join us on the live streams during season 3 too, because that's the ultimate goal, right? That's what we're trying to get to. So we definitely want to get them there as quickly as possible, as we'll be seeing with Lex this evening. So are you ready?
Let me jump in just
Oh,
real quick,
okay.
Jack, just to say one thing. If anyone has any questions after the stream, obviously feel free to contact either of us. You can find both of us in the right-hand side menu for the Rose League. When you're on the Discord server, contact either of us. I will always be open to answering DMs, as I'm sure Jack will be. So don't feel as if you realize you have a question afterwards and you don't get it answered on the stream, message either of us or both of us. Or if you want either of us to be with you as a co-caster when you're first doing a cast, then we'd both love to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Although, thanks for volunteering all my free time. Just joking. We've actually just recently did a cast for Galaxy Esports to
Yeah, that
help
was a lot
them
of
get
fun.
their organization kind of started up with their casting and producing. So shout out to First Night of Knee, who has been kind of our clutch producer lately, also helped
He's
out with that
incredible. He's incredible.
experience. And that's something that I love about this organization is that you get people that, again, it comes down to like that dedication. And I'm not saying that you necessarily have, if you come volunteer for us, that you have to be Rose Cup all the time, no questions asked kind of thing, because
Yeah.
we don't expect that. But being able to show that you're proud of an organization and that you're willing to invest in an organization, they will also spend the time to invest in you. So
Yeah.
now, with all that being said, are you ready? Are you ready for your first color casting?
All beans, I think I am.
All right, let's go ahead and get things started. So I'm going to start off with the introduction here. Right now, it looks like we're seeing Nebula Phoenix coming out with a 2-2-2 composition. We are going to see Wiverblade and Yerzik on that traditional Far Mercy composition with Nyakobi again taking up the scope with Widow. For the side of the Nightwolves, though, it looks like we're going straight on Bunker. Ray coming in on the Bastion with Chaos and OED on the D.Va, and Orisa. You've got Fluffalo coming out on the Batiste as well. Nyakobi moving their way back into spawn. It looks like they're not going to end up going sniper, which is probably a good thing because that bunker is not going to work well for that. It looks like the action already trying to get a little bit started. We see Nebula Phoenix moving into the backline, realizing that this bunker is going to be best as attacked from the rear rather than trying to take that bastion head on. But we're going to see Ray go ahead and move into that tunnel, the shield moving inside as well, as Nyakobi really trying to figure out how to get those hacks onto somebody just to be able to get that EMP up, and Destro going to pick them off incredibly early, not able to phase out of there fast enough, as Nebula Phoenix already having a minute off the clock. Take it away, Lex.
Yeah, see, that's the real strength for having the McCree in this bunker, whereas, you know, you might want to run the Hanzo for the Sonic Arrow. You're actually going to see the McCree be able to stun out the Sombra and then send her back to spawn, which is very useful, especially with the Bastion. It just denies her the EMP, which is, you know, crucial in this. It's the Batiste positioning, and it's denying the EMP. That's how you save that Bastion. That's how you keep the bunker going. With the other team, it looks like that Nebula's win condition is either going to be getting an EMP off if they can, or trying to get that barrage in. If they can get the barrage in, pass the shield, get the Bastion down, and they're going to do well for it.
Well, it looks like they're trying to do that right now. Wyverblade coming in with the barrage already, but the defense matrix coming out from Chaos going to go ahead and eat up a majority of that as the amplification matrix comes out for Fluffalo. Wyverblade able to take down Chaos as Destro follows up on Nessington right there. As they move their way up, the res going to come in for Chaos as Ray ends up taking down Neutron, and Wyverblade's going to follow up on Fluffalo in return. Ray going to get the double kill on the Far Mercy, and that's going to go ahead and shut down that push for now. We already see 2 ticks on the objective right now, looking to get that third with a minute 45 seconds on the clock. Lex?
Yeah, like with this comp, obviously the D.Va's got to go touch to contest the point because nobody else can realistically in that composition for the bunker. So, you know, they're going to get a lot of ticks unless they can take them down quickly. And sadly, it just looked like the barrage went straight into the Matrix, straight into the shield. So they couldn't really get a lot done. They managed to displace them enough for a little bit, but unfortunately, the Bastion, you know, if you don't take that Bastion out, it can set up and it can pump out a hell of a lot of damage.
That is true. And right now we do see Nyakobi up with the EMP ready to get into that bunker. The question is, can the rest of the team get set up in preparation for that? It looks like Nyakobi moving on that outside flank, looking to try to get in there with the Translocator 6-man EMP coming in, but Fluffalo taking down Nessington at the start of that fight. Not going to be a good way to get that off as we end up seeing the Immortality Field and the Bongos come out. Wyverblade able to take down OED, but the rest of Nebula Phoenix ends up getting shut down by the combination of Ray and Fluffalo right there. The res ends up coming in from Nymera to bring Ray back into the fight after that, and with only 30 seconds on the clock, and now Nyakobi swapping over to the Junkrat, it doesn't seem like Nebula Phoenix is going to be able to hammer off that final tick.
Absolutely. Like, with the 2 ults coming up with Nightwolves, you know, they are not looking good. They've only got Barrage on Nebula Phoenix's side, so it's not looking good for them, but hey, they might pull something out here.
All right, they're moving into the objective right now. Chaos already going to take down Neutron right there, as well as the High Noon getting the DMAC onto Nessington. D.Va Bomb comes down for Chaos. Doesn't end up getting much of anything, but does take down Sweaty Brawls with the mini D.Va punch kill of death. And that's going to be the end of round 1 right there. Only 86.3% captured on the objective. So essentially just a little over 2 ticks is what the Nightwolves need to do to be able to take this map and tie up the series.
Yeah, and if anything, this really puts them on the back foot now, Nebula, because they have to hold the entirety of the first point, and that means they're very susceptible to rush down. They can't just set up and bunker like Nightwolves did, because if they try that, then Nebula are going to adapt, they're going to see that coming, and then they're just going to get point presence and force them to come to them. And, you know, it worked for a bit, but not when you have a full bunker. You need to clear the point with the damage, and well, obviously we saw Nebula didn't manage to get the fight to them.
Yep. Well, 40 seconds on the clock right now as we wait for the first attack to come in from the Nightwolves. Now, what are you seeing there, Lex?
So we can see the triple support on the Nightwolves side, which is makes a lot of sense. They're probably expecting a similar bunker-esque setup, which with those heroes, you've got Hanzo Farah for a lot of spam, which is good, and of course you've got that Sombra key for taking down a Bastion. However, we don't have that on the Phoenix side. We instead have we have the bunker set up with the Hog Risa, but then we've got a pharmacy and the Ana, and I can't actually see who that last slot is
Nyakobi's on
because-
the McCree for this fight,
Fantastic.
which is
I've got
actually
all
going to be
there.
incredibly deadly. Nyakobi, if we've been watching at all tonight, has been incredibly well on those hit scan characters. Might be expecting the Farah Mercy as well. So let's go ahead and see if that will end up happening. It looks like QED coming in on the Hammond this time around, going for the triple DPS composition. Ends up getting anti-nated, almost barely getting taken out of the fight, but Nessington going to get that hook shot onto Ray as Wyverblade takes down Destro, and it looks like we have a pause, which usually indicates a disconnect very early in the fight. So, Lex, tell me what you saw going on at the beginning of that fight.
Absolutely. I mean, it looked exactly how Nightwolves wanted to play that, which is just going straight to point and forcing the attention there. Phoenix did a great job of not falling for that bait, and with the McCree there, with the stuns, with the anti, they managed to get that, force that Hammond out, so that Hammond really couldn't do what it wanted and clear the space in the same way. But you can see already the damage coming in from the side of the Nightwolves was just a lot of pressure there, which was very nice to see.
Well, I think the thing that was most interesting to me is usually when you want to do a dive scenario like that, you want to have the Farah Mercy going up over that roof on the right side of the, or I guess it would be the front side of the objective on the defense standpoint. They go up and over the roof and then touch the objective. When you only have the Hammond going in doing that, and we're actually going to I'm actually going to go ahead and interrupt myself as we get back into the action right now. Nymera getting the res onto Ray, bringing them back into the fight, but the hook gonna end up getting Ray right after the res as Nessington takes them out of the fight. 3 minutes 15 seconds on the clock right now as we see QED back on the objective as that painful Hammond right there. The hack comes in from Chaos to try to take Wyverblade out of the sky, but ends up getting taken down as they fall by Wyverblade instead. 3 minutes remaining on the clock right now, and it seems like Nightwolves kind of stalled out when trying to get to this objective.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems the Hammond likes to go in alone. They need a bit more support from the dive because they're definitely drawing the attention. And when that hack went off, that looked good, but we'll see how it plays out.
All right, well, it seems like they're putting damage into the shield right now, seeing if they can do that to be a nuisance to the Hog Risa right there. Wyverblade ends up taking down QED again on the objective because they are really the only ones that are able to they are the only one that is able to get to the objective and actually do some kind of tick acceleration, if you will, on the objective right now. The rest of the team just having a very difficult time getting past this bunker. It seems right now like the win condition is really based on either the Dragon Strike coming in from Ray or the EMP that's going to be coming in from Chaos momentarily. Nyakobi, though, coming out with the Deadeye, ends up taking Destro out of the sky as Wyverblade with the double barrage takes down Ray and Fluffalo right there. That's making it a 2v6 on the objective, make that 1v6 as the res ends up coming in for Destro from Nymera, but gets taken out by Nyakobi as Wyverblade follows up on Destro. 1 minute, 35 seconds remaining on the clock, and right now it seems like Nebula Phoenix has got this point on lock.
Yeah, Nightwolves are really showing why you don't want to sit and poke at the choke, especially against an Orisa shield, which will be up, every 900 HP, up every 6 seconds, is it?
It's
and,
it's like 8 or 9 seconds, something like that.
8 or 9 seconds, yeah. It's like, but when you have, even if you do have that much spam, it's still not going to go down that quickly, and it's still going to get up far too soon for them just to be sitting at the choke, poking away, and letting their wrecking ball be alone.
Well, Chaos does have the EMP ready to go, and Fliplo, well, actually, we have a lot of ultimates online for the side of Nightwolves with the way they've been poking. Here comes the triple EMP coming in on Sweaty Brawls, Nessington, and Neutron, and there comes the double barrage to start things off with the Dragon Strike. Makes it a triple, but Wyverblade ends up taking down Destro in the sky. QED coming down with the Minefield ends up taking down Nessington as Ray following up on Wyverblade as Wyverblade takes down Nymera in return. 38 seconds remaining on the clock, and the objective is going to be captured in a furious fury by the Nightwolves, tying up the series 1-1 here on Eichenwald.
Whew. And that's the power of ultimates, baby. That's exactly how you want to play the power struggle. And what I really liked was the nano going on to that barraging Pharah when she got low, because that, that boosts her right back up, and it gives her that survivability, which, if your Pharah survives the barrage, you're doing good.
And right here, Bastion, play the game. Always expected if there's a Bastion anywhere, I feel like there's something written in the code that's just like, oh, there's a Bastion, play the game. That person. I don't care if all they did was heal themselves for 5 seconds. Play the game to that guy right there. All right, Lex, incredible job. I ended up stopping calling your name there for a while, and you were actually able to start catching on. So as you can see, it is something that can kind of happen while the game is going on. You can kind of develop this this balance, if you would. We even had an issue with the match, which again, I didn't watch this video ahead of time. We just kind of picked it at random, which this could happen in any of our matches. So you've handled it beautifully, and we hope that many of you have learned kind of from this experience, especially you, Lex. Thank you so much for coming out and being able to offer your talents, and we are going to be so excited to have you with us for Season 3.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you very much for having me along.
All right. So, folks, that's it for us this evening. If you have any questions, like Platinum had said, feel free to reach out to any of us in the media team. If you're in the Rose Cup server, you can go ahead and just tag any of us. Every media team member is tagged with, I believe, a purple tag. That's essentially media team. So feel free to reach out to any of us at any time if you have any questions about casting, producing, digital media, web design. We've got it all right now, baby, and we are recruiting still. So please go ahead once again to therosecup.org, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the staff page, and the link to the application for the media team is right there. It's a little lengthy, but it's important to answer all those questions because I got to know a little bit about your background. I got to know your availability right now going into pugs and whatnot. And, I just kind of want to get to know who you are. And especially the last question. Last question, super important. You should spend, all your time on that last question. I'm totally kidding. It's, a very silly question. But I hope you enjoy it anyway. So the most important part of any stream is the end of it for the casters. Platinum, are you back with us?
I am.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you were here. So we're going to go ahead and end out tonight. Stay tuned in the near future. We're going to have some pugs going on a couple times a week. We also have the Community Crossover Cup coming up where we have 2 teams, Diamond Division, from each of, I believe, 8 different organizations going to be going on in about a week, 2 weeks from now. We're going to get started with that, and we're essentially going to find out who's the best of the best. And wouldn't you believe it, the final is going to be, well, not right here, but it's going to be on our Twitch, twitch.tv/TheRoseCupOW. So be sure to tune in for that and all the subsequent matches that will be on our channel and our partner channels for that experience. It's definitely going to be really exciting. First time we've ever done some kind of collaborative measure with other organizations, and I got to say we put a lot of work into it, and a lot of people are really excited to see this all go down. So with that being said, that's it for us here at the Rose Cup. I'm Captain Jack.
I'm Platinum Thistle.
And I guess I'm Lexi.
And we will see y'all next time.